Right, hello and welcome to Network. My name is Spumelele Zondi. Now, data must fall has been a massive hashtag in South Africa. Tonight, we'll also go to Ethiopia, where we'll find doctors who are using telemedicine to connect with their patients. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's newsnetwork at sabc.co.za on email. Let's start with your social media and technology news. All right, so here on Network, we've spoken to the Deputy Minister of Telecommunications in South Africa, that's Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, about high data costs. She believes that if we lower data costs, then that would help innovation. But in the last couple of days in South Africa, data must fall has been a massive hashtag. We spoke to all network providers about it, and here's what they had to say.
The hashtag data must fall has been trending on Twitter, with politicians, musicians, trade unions and some government officials also jumping on the wagon. They say South African data costs are too high and therefore are excluding the poor from connectivity. But telecoms expert Ufenza Mubedi says data costs in South Africa are on par with other countries. He says it is not a fact that prepaid customers pay more than contract subscribers. Mopedi says consumers should shop around for the best rates, as there are internet service providers other than the 4 largest cell phone networks that offer competitive rates.
Data costs in South Africa are not extremely high. They are neither at the bottom of the rung, but compared to the rest of the world, I think they are in more or less acceptable levels.
In its response, Cell C says it has been key in driving down communication costs in South Africa by bringing competition to the market. Telkom says it is providing seriously discounted data compared to some other operators. The networks say they have different data offerings for users to get more data for less. Vodacom says it is aware of the challenges job seekers face and has made great strides in making data affordable to consumers with offerings like the free e-schools portal and Vodacom Next Level Careers launched earlier this year. MTN declined to comment. Lurastafako Mosi, SABC News, Johannesburg.
It seems many of our viewers aren't impressed with MTN choosing not to comment on high data costs. Tobela Mngonyama tweeted us saying MTN must help solve this. South African companies are charging people 3 times more than other countries. Randy Marsh says it's typical MTN. Given Mahwanyi says other African countries charge less than South Africa for data. And Olane Mzobe believes that MTN is the most expensive network. Right, you can also engage us on social media. Our handle is SABC Network, or you can use the hashtag SABC Network. Now, Ethiopia has over 40 million mobile phone subscribers and over 10 million internet users. A group of doctors is taking advantage of these growing numbers to offer medical consultancy services via mobile phones. Callers can dial 8896 and speak to a doctor immediately, 24 hours a day. Coletta Wanjoye is in Addis Ababa.
Hello, Dr.
Jordanis Berhanu answers a call from an anonymous number. It is someone who needs medical guidance. She is a health officer and consultant at Hello Doctor, Ethiopia's latest telemedication innovation. Every day, Jordanos and 4 other professional medical workers answer 200 calls from people of different age groups.
Some people call with like a depressed kind of sound. Some people are stressed. Some people are confused. And after consulting them and after reassuring them and telling every pros and cons of what they have, they feel relieved.
Hello Doctor is still in its infancy, but for people like Antonio Petros, it has been life-changing. A year ago, he made a call when he was scared after his son developed fever in the middle of the night.
I remembered, hey, there's Hello Doctor. So I called. I was really satisfied by the way they answered the phone. They said, hello doctor, this is so-and-so, Dr. so-and-so. And then they asked me, how can I help you? And I just told her, it was a woman, I remember, and I just told her, my son has a very high fever. I can feel it on his skin. And they told me the simplest advice. Towel, cold water, put it on his head. First aid, that's what we need.
When Dr. Johannes Wodaje founded Hello Doctor in 2011, he wanted to make medical services more accessible to those who could not access health services for various reasons.
We wanted to breach, the lack of access to healthcare to the abundance, the growing number of mobile phone subscribers in the country.
Today, this center has received 70,000 calls and offered medical advice to 40,000 people. For a country whose doctor-to-patient ratio has been put at 1 to 30,000, having a service where one spends only 30 US cents per minute and immediately accesses a professional doctor is a relief for many. As well as the in-house consultants, Hello Doctor has what it calls satellite doctors, who can sign into the system and respond to calls from wherever they are. Hello Doctor is also planning to introduce an online platform.
When we started, the infrastructure in the country, in the city, was in a period of development. It was being upgraded. So there are a lot of challenges about connectivity. In our society, there is a lot of myth, a lot of cultural beliefs that go counter to what we're doing. So we have to overcome that. We have to convince people that it's better to talk to a healthcare professional and get professional advice as opposed to talking to a knowledgeable person in the family or traditional healer, or opting for other options.
The mobile service also has a tracking system for pregnant women and patients suffering from tuberculosis, which monitors their conditions and offers reminders like when they should take their medicine.
Now, SABC is searching for South Africa's next YouTube star through the Break the Net contest. So you might want to enter if you want to break the internet.
Upon hearing the words breaking the net, the first thing that pops up on some people's heads is reality TV star Kim Kardashian's racy magazine photo shoot pictures that went viral in 2014. And of course, the famous photo of the dress that broke the net and got people debating whether the depicted dress was black and blue or gold and white. Now, South African mobile network SABC is also attempting to break the internet in a search for the country's next YouTube sensation.
And like most companies, you're always trying to find that next big thing. And I think we live in the world of the selfie, the world of the Kardashians, reality TV. And from us, that's our first foray into that world. And we're going to test it with Break the Net. And we're going to say to South Africans, you can be the next YouTube sensation with a grand prize of 250,000 Rand and a trip to Hollywood.
A trip to Hollywood surely is one sought-after destination for many, but the question is, how does one become this YouTube sensation that eventually sees them walking on the streets of Tinseltown?
Basically how it works is, if you're interested in entering the competition, you go to the App Store or to Google Play, you download the app, and at this point it's call to enter. So on that app there's a trailer, Suzelle DIY explains how to enter, and then there's an entry form. So you create your profile, you make a video, but you've got to think about it, it's like you've got to promote yourself as this channel. So what is your talent? Do you dance? Do you sing? Do you bake cakes? And you upload the clip, and then through a month of moderation behind the scenes, we'll be selecting the top 30 along with the mentors and judges.
In order for contestants to break the net, they have to be watched by as many viewers as possible, something that could be somewhat of a challenge, especially here in South Africa, because of high data costs. SABC says that this should not be a problem for the network subscribers who will be watching videos of competitors via the SABC Reality mobile app, as they will be given opportunities to redeem data. SABC's Break the Net 8-week-long competition opened on 15th September and entries close on October 15th.
Taking selfies on a boat has proven to be deadly for a group of Indian students. And could virtual reality give people real-life partners? Let's take a look at our tech wrap to find out more about these stories.
5 engineering students drowned in a reservoir while taking selfies in India's southern Telangana state on Saturday. The incident took place at Daramasaga Reservoir in Warangal district when a girl slipped in the water body while taking pictures. The other jumped behind her to save her. Sad news indeed. Now heading over to Japan. Virtual reality is taking things up a notch this year with this virtual girlfriend. Yes, you heard right, a virtual girlfriend. Gamers lined up at one exhibition and got touchy-feely with a mannequin that with VR goggles transformed into a female anime character at this year's Tokyo Game Show.
I feel as though I've seen the future. It's going to be possible to fall in love with a virtual girl.
Virtual girlfriends are nothing new to the Japanese games market, but developers have embraced the new possibilities of VR technology, bringing gamers one step closer to their dream partners. Now heading over to the US of A. Ride-hailing service Uber gave some Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania residents the chance to experience a vehicle that drives itself. The launch of Uber's self-driving pilot program marks the public unveiling of the company's secretive work in autonomous vehicles, and the first time self-driving cars have been so freely available to the US public.
Pittsburgh's an old city, it has organic road network, it has real traffic problems, it experiences extreme weather. So we really feel that Pittsburgh is the double black diamond of driving. We really feel that if we can master driving in Pittsburgh, that we can easily, or at least make an effort into mastering driving in other cities around the world.
Among the residents, there are mixed responses.
I think that it's a really, really cool innovation, especially at this time. But for me personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable being in a self-driving car just because I'm one of those people that won't really be able to trust.
I'm sure it wouldn't be the norm for another 10-15 years anyway. But yeah, I think it could be a good idea. It might put some people out of jobs, but I think it's a cool concept.
Still in the USA, Apple Inc. struck again this week, seeing fans lined up outside Apple stores in Sydney and Tokyo 1 day ahead of the iPhone 7 launch.
I came here probably yesterday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, and I've been here ever since, camping out. But of course having breaks here and there and all that jazz, all that stuff.
If I was considering, if I were to sell the seat and it were a situation, a scenario I was put in, I'd probably say the seat, maybe $4,000, $4,000 to $5,000. I'd probably say yes, but I'd have to think about it because you're in front. It's not every time you get to be in the front of the line. It's a big hype.
Imagine a car picking you up outside with no driver. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za and email. After the break, Tifu Mohamed joins us about a conversation about why tech conferences in Africa don't look so African. Stay with us.
Now this is Trends, of course, your one-stop serving of all that's juicy and trending in the world of entertainment and showbiz. My name, of course, is Refill Wemwilo.
I'm Dr. Selom Mutaung, and this is Our Talk.
A very good morning and welcome to Media Monitor. I'm your host, Alicia Jali.
My name is Dumila Matters.
My name is Mpo. What time is it? It's question time.
For your daily dose of current affairs, tune in to the SABC News Channel.
Right, it's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Now let's go to North Africa, where a group of Egyptian students are winning international competitions with their hybrid car. A team of Egyptian engineering students in Cairo's Ain Shams University dreams of a greener future. They want to decrease their country's fuel consumption. The team comprises of 28 students and has built a hybrid car which runs on both electricity and gas. Asurt students say their creation can run for 100 kilometers on 3 liters of gasoline compared to non-hybrid cars that can manage on 15 kilometers on the same amount of fuel. They've entered several international competitions.
العربية ديت واحنا دعينا ان احنا نشارك في مسابقة السباق العالمي.
We were invited to take part in Egypt's Global Hybrid Electric Challenge, a competition organized by the United States Global EEE, and we were very keen because we'd always build cars that ran on gas alone. But now, what's new is that we've introduced electricity. So, besides entering Formula Class 2 with an electric car, this car is also considered a hybrid.
تعتبر بشكل كبير عربية كهربائية. هي أصلا فكرتها إن هي عربية هجينة.
The car won first place at the Global Hybrid Electric Challenge held in Egypt's Red Sea resort of Hurghada last March. It was the first time the annual competition was hosted in the North African country. The team also won third place in the regional version of the competition, which was held in Abu Dhabi in April.
بنعمل عربية هدفها إن احنا نخش فيها سباق تمام في فورمولا ستودنت يو كي دي مسابقة.
Thank God this year with this car. The competition is divided into two parts, Class 1 and Class 2. In Class 1, you design the car and then build it in real life. And then you travel and enter several races with it. And it undergoes several tests and an inspection to make sure it is safe. In Class 2, you build an electric car, but only on paper. You don't make a design and you don't build it.
ديزاين العربية إلكتريك تمام بس بتعملها على الورق مش بتصممها مش بتعملها ديزاين ومش بتصنعها.
The hybrid car has a small generator that's 3 liters in size. It transmits energy to batteries, enabling them to charge. The batteries can also be charged via an electrical outlet. Now, there are many conferences about technology in Africa that don't have many African speakers. Some take place in Africa, but conference organizers would fly in speakers from Europe or America. This is despite that Africa has come up with solutions like mobile app M-Pedigree, which tests the authenticity of medication. There's also the much talked about M-Pesa, the mobile money solution that came from Kenya, and many, many others. Now, Africans are saying enough is enough, as they are the true experts of technology and how it's used in their continents. Joining me in studio is Stefan Mohapi from iAfrican. Hello, and thank you for being a part of our network, Def.
Thank you for having me.
Now, do you think conference organizers care that tech conferences in Africa have panelists that look African?
I can't comment on whether they care or not, but I can comment that they're probably a little bit lazy in doing their research in organizing African speakers.
Why is this?
I think it's a couple of issues. I mean, let's look at particularly the Africa Tech Summit, which is taking place in London next week on the 29th. It's organized partly by the South African DTI office in the UK. And they're supposed, you would imagine that they would engage, that's why I said they're a little bit lazy in doing their research. They would engage citizens in the ICT community in South Africa to say, we are looking to attract investment into South Africa, into the ICT sector. Which ICT leaders, I mean, we've got plenty who can speak and advertise South Africa for investment.
But one would think if it's taking place in London and it's about Africa, then they should, of course, speak to Europeans about Africa.
Look, there's two sides to it. They're looking, the SADTI's office in London is to attract investment into South Africa, and they've identified several sectors, one of them being ICT. So it's fine that it's taking place in London because they're looking for trade relations with UK partners and UK investors. So the location is not so much an issue. The issue here is who's speaking there, who's advertising the country, who's advertising the continent. And in this case, it's not many Africans, not to mention not many South Africans.
Maybe there aren't that many Africans who are tech experts. Maybe not.
I wouldn't even say tech experts. There are a lot of Africans building businesses, multi-million-dollar businesses that are in the ICT sector. Not to mention Africans who've been in the ICT sectors for many years. I mean, we've got leaders such as Mteto Nyati, who's heading up MTN South Africa. You've got people like Isaac Mopatlane, who with his late brother built a Business Connection, which was recently bought by Telkom for 2 billion rand. So, and that's just to mention two. There's plenty more that can go out there. You've got Jeremy Ord of Dimension Data, who built the company from nothing to being bought out by NTT Docomo for a couple of $1 billion. So we've got plenty of South Africans who are experienced, who've been there, who've got the scars to prove it, and who can sell the country to say, this is what South Africa has to offer in terms of ICT. But this is not only about the Africa Tech Summit, it extends to other African tech conferences that also take place on the continent.
What is the danger of not having a true representation of Africans at these conferences?
It perpetuates the whole colonialist mentality, the whole messiah mentality that Africans need to be saved, that Africans can't speak for themselves and are not doing it for themselves, that somebody else is an expert on African matters.
But then again, there are issues of also demographics. What if there's an Africa Tech conference and it's held maybe in South Africa or maybe Abuja and it has white South Africans? Is that a problem as well?
That's not a problem. It depends what the topics are. I mean, if you're going there to represent your company, so be it. You're South African, you're an African, but issues of identity and being African are a totally different topic. But if you're building your own ICT company and you're South African, fair enough, you can represent South Africa at that conference. The issue here is that people are not South African, they're not even African at an African Tech Conference.
And I suppose it's something you wouldn't see elsewhere. You wouldn't go to Europe and see a bunch of Africans talking about European issues, or even in Africa, if there's a European Tech Summit, for example, or a partnership summit, you wouldn't see a bunch of Africans talking on behalf of Europe.
Not a chance. I've been to a couple conferences, Central America, specifically Cuba, in Europe, in Middle East, where these are tech conferences of business discussions where you get Cubans who are representing Cuba. You get people at, for example, the Next Web Europe conference, which is a very big tech conference that I sometimes attend, and you get Europeans showcasing their companies and their services, and you don't get Africans being brought there to say they're representing Europe.
So today, if someone was to approach you to say that they are organizing a conference in Africa, what advice would you give them?
I would say do your research, not just internet research, but try to engage the community. There's plenty of people, many people are willing to assist if you just reach out and say, I'm looking to do this, who should I be speaking to?
And you have tried to engage the DTI in the conference that's taking place next week.
Yes, we have. I think it's Lindsay Duff who responded on behalf of the economic counselor at the SADTI office, Tobile Mazibuko. This was on the 13th. That said that they'd respond to us. Today is the 18th. They haven't. They've actually dismissed us, and we've taken the matter a little bit further.
You say they dismissed you?
They haven't responded. They made a promise in writing saying that they will respond. And they continue to not take calls when we call them and not to respond to our emails.
All right. And why do you think that a conference sponsored by the DTI, which is pretty much a South African government, a government entity or department, taking place in London would not include South Africans?
It's bizarre, really. It's mind-boggling. I don't know. So it speaks to maybe there needs to be some investigation going on there, because I don't know how a whole department like the South African DTI, Department of Trade and Industry, for your viewers who don't know what that stands for, would go and organize a conference on behalf of the ICT sector, using state resources, mind you, to showcase South Africa and Africa, but not include South Africans in the ICT sector.
Oh, and not include Africa much, really.
Not include Africans too, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, and nice shirt, by the way.
All right. Thank you very much. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za. You can also use the hashtag SABC Network to engage us. Let's take a short break.
He appealed for the disruptions to come to an end so the future of the children is not compromised.
The union said the latest offer by Eskom will condemn its members to poverty.
Samples from the 2012 London Olympic Games and 2014 Sochi Winter Games will also be retested.
Stay tuned to News Today at 3 p.m. from Monday to Friday on SABC News.
Hashtag SABC Network, and that's also our handle on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Now, as we continue to celebrate African Inventions this Heritage Month, this week we look at M-Pesa. The mobile money service has failed in South Africa. It was brought to the country by Vodacom. We've also heard that MTN has discontinued its mobile money service in South Africa because of a lack of popularity. But despite this, M-Pesa is still really popular in other parts of Africa and has been transported to parts of Europe and Asia. It's used to pay for public transportation, transfer money, and even pay workers' salaries in some places.
Hey yo, my name is Savara. I play with Sauti Soul. My favorite piece of technology right now, I would say it's M-Pesa. M-Pesa was discovered in my country, in Kenya, whereby it's a money transfer service whereby you can, through your mobile. And I discovered all through, since the beginning of the year, I've never had cash and I realized, oh my God, it's becoming cashless. So it's nice, it's safe. So far, I think that's my favorite piece of technology.
The matatu conductor will have a unit himself, and we call it a till, but it's actually just another phone. And you'll just do a normal, Lipa na M-Pesa transaction. We have taken financial services closer to the people. Yeah, mobile penetration is pretty high.
Let's see what some people are sharing on social media. The hashtag RIP Mendoza is dominating social media in South Africa. This is after the passing of the Kwaito star. Some of his popular hits include Nkalagata, Khodoba and Tsotia Sezola. The Cape Town Marathon has also been a popular hashtag in South Africa. Runners and those who know the runners have been sharing experiences. Mathare has been dominating on social media in Kenya. This is after the Orange Democratic Movement and Jubilee parties wanted to hold events there. Orange Democratic Movement eventually got the rights to hold its event in the Masinde Muliro grounds. Mendoza definitely left us with great music. Now that's all we have for you. Remember to find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za and email. We'll leave you with visuals from South Africa's showcase of the country's defense technologies. It took place at the Africa Aerospace and Defense Exhibition at the Waterkloof Air Force Base outside Pretoria. From me and the rest of the network team, have a good one. Good night.